What would you like to be talked about? All right, then I'll have to talk. If you have no suggestions, I'll go on. You may remember we were talking about the last time we met here, and not only about emotional thinking, but also I would like to talk about, if I may, what's going to happen to all of you when you leave here, if you ever leave here. Emotional thinking, as we talked over together, is very detrimental. One can't think clearly. Emotions, strong feelings have their place, but when they get confused with thinking, then conflict arises. Haven't you noticed it? Yes? You know, I would like, if I may, during this fortnight that I'm here, before going to India, I'd like to discuss with you, have a conversation, not talk by myself. I'd like to find out what you think, what your wishes are, what you feel about the whole of life, the existence, the future, about your exams, about your studies, about whether you are having your minds cleared of the past hurts, fears and all that, whether you are being at Brockwood, intelligence being awakened or not, or we are becoming rather dull, rather good at studies, but inwardly we are rather heavy, dull, and not at all alert. I'd like to talk about all these things. Perhaps on Tuesday, when it is proposed that I talk to the students, we can go into all this a little more clearly. But all the same, if I may, I'd like to talk about all this now. May I? All right, sir. I'm glad somebody agrees. First of all, I would like to talk over with you, if I may, what's going to happen to you when you leave here. Or rather, put it differently, what is happening to you now? Is this a period of preparing yourself for a life when you enter into the world which is really quite appalling? You have no idea how terrible it is. Are you being prepared to meet all that? You can only meet this world, which you must know fairly well because you study current history and what is happening in the world. Or you're going to be swallowed up by the things that are happening, caught in a trap, and for the rest of one's life remain in that trap. Or perhaps you don't want to fit into this pattern of society, and you may want to break away from it. And if you do break away from it, you will create your own traps. Right? You will create your own prison, your own misery, your own confusion, your own fears, and so on. Right? Either this, be swallowed up in the world. You know what that means? Do you? Become a businessman, engineer, get married, and for the rest of your life go to the office and so on, so on, so on. That's the trap. Either that, or you revolt against that and fall into another trap, right? The trap which you make for yourself. You may join a community, or you might become I don't know what, something which doesn't carry on the established tradition, but perhaps you might have an area of your life where you are doing what you want to do, and also that becomes a very dangerous trap, right? Right? So I would like to ask, if I may, what's going to happen? So from that question arises another, which is, are you here at Brockwood being educated to awaken intelligence so that you can meet all this? You understand my question? I mean by that word intelligence, not merely book knowledge, not being clever, or work out a certain system of your own thinking, or emotionally get involved terribly. All that has nothing to do with intelligence. Intelligence implies a mind that thinks very clearly, objectively, non-emotionally, and above all, non-personally. Right? Are you being helped with this? That to observe yourself, what is happening in the world, your relationship with each other, or with your family, or with your neighbor, or with your girlfriend, boy, and all the rest of it. To observe all that, non-personally. Can you do it? Because if you do observe personally, it becomes very, very limited, doesn't it? Right? No? Go on. Perhaps at the end of what I have to say, we'll discuss, shall we? Huh? You like that? Let's do it. So first let me set the ball rolling, then we can discuss, right? I'm asking all of us and myself all of with this. Are we here at Brockwood, a small community, awakening this quality of intelligence, which will be able to meet whatever is ahead of us? Meet it intelligently, which is non-personally, not having a contradiction in oneself, wanting to do this and not doing something else, and then battling in all that. That's all this conflict that one has in one's life indicates the lack of intelligence. Now I'm asking, is this being done here? Are we helping each other to be excellent in this quality of intelligence? And if that is the thing that we must have, then whose responsibility is it? You understand my question? If I come here as a student, and I think I am being helped or being educated to have this quality of intelligence, whose responsibility is it to awaken this quality? You understand my question? Whose responsibility is it? The educator, the staff, the older generation? Or it is the total responsibility of each one of us? Have I compris? You understood? Do I say to myself, well, Mr. Smith is going to help me, or Mr. Simmons is going to help me to have this quality of intelligence? You understand when I use the word intelligence what I mean, right? Do we? Or am I going to look, if I'm a student here, look to somebody to help me to have this clarity of intelligence with all, you understand, intelligence implies tremendous energy. Intelligence implies a quality in which living is not a constant battle, strife between man, woman, boy, and, the constant struggle in relationship. Am I, if I'm a student here, to look to somebody? Or please listen to the, or is intelligence being non-personal? It is the responsibility of all of us to help each other to be intelligent. Then if it is the responsibility of each one of us to awaken this intelligence, what shall we do? How shall we set about it? What will you do? Please think it out with me. What will you do while you are here, a year, 2 years, or 5 years, or whatever time you are here? What will you do with the understanding that it's the total responsibility of each one of us What's your action? What is your responsibility? Or are you here merely as something that we've gone through, get to A level or O level or whatever you want to do, and just go through and finish with it and say, for God's sake, forget all this. It's rather bore. I just want to get married and settle down in a comfortable little cottage with a husband and a few children and fight. Or struggle, or whatever you do. So what will you, please, I'm asking you, think it out with me. What will you do, sir, each one of you, if you feel this is absolutely necessary to have this quality of intelligence, and knowing that's the responsibility of each one of us, what is your approach to it? You understand? Intelligence is not knowledge, right? You can have a great deal of knowledge about many things, about music, about art, about mathematics, archaeology, or physics, and so on. Have a great deal of knowledge and be rather stupid in life, which is life being relationship with each other. You understand? That's life, isn't it? Relationship with one another. Either that relationship is an extraordinary thing, or it becomes a terrible burden. Of attachment and all that business. So knowing all this, if you do know, if you don't, let's talk about it. That knowledge is not intelligence. You may have great deal of information about great many things, but that knowledge does not give generally a relationship with your wife, husband, girl, boy, or with one another, a relationship in which there is no conflict whatsoever. You understand my question? Now what will you do? Don't wait for me to answer. What will you do if you feel this is really your job as well as mine and each other's? It's our responsibility. What shall we do? I must have knowledge about mathematics and other things. I must. That's necessary, part of life. But I also know that knowledge will not lead to intelligence. I may be a great scholar, know great many things, but I may be a shoddy little man with my family. Understand? Ambitious, greedy, envious, and rather stupid. So what will you, Shakuntala ji, X, Y, shall we do to awaken this intelligence for which we are responsible to each other? Right? May I go on? That's First of all, I must understand the quality of sensitivity. Just listen to me first, before you agree or disagree with it. Just listen, will you? I'm not persuading you to think my way. I'm not doing propaganda for my ideas or for my inclinations. I'm just suggesting this. So look at it with intelligence, not with prejudice. Not with say, well, that's nonsense. So just look at it impersonally. Will you? To look at what is being said impersonally is part of intelligence, right? Right? You've got it? So I'm suggesting one of the qualities of intelligence is to be sensitive. I'll explain what I mean by being sensitive. Most of us are sensitive to our own feelings, right? To our own hurts, to our own prejudice. We know we are sensitive. And we disregard the sensitivity. We disregard others because we are so concerned with ourselves that we disregard others. Right? Right? So, is it possible to be sensitive to others? In this relationship, when we're all living together as a community. Not be caught up in my own struggles, ambitions, emotions. I like you and I don't like you. I like you. I want to be always with you. You know all that blah, blah, blah goes on, that chatter that goes on endlessly. So I become insensitive to others. Right? Can you listen to this statement, to what is being said, and see if you are doing that? You follow? You understand what I'm saying? To listen to it and apply it to oneself and see if one is really caught up in some emotional excitement and therefore incapable of being sensitive to others. And to be aware of that, to know that you are caught up in that emotion and so insensitive to others, to know that, to be conscious of it, to be aware of it, is part of intelligence, isn't it? Right? You're all very silent. Do you see this? Are you applying to yourself? Or you say, well, that's just an idea, a very good idea, or rotten idea. And so you're off, you're not applying. You don't say, am I doing this? Am I so emotionally involved with X, Y, and so sensitive to my own emotions and to X and Y, and disregard totally others, whose responsibility for awakening this intelligence is part of all of us. Vous avez compris? You've understood what I'm saying? Or you actually listen to what's being said? Or you are rather bored with what is being said? I don't mind if you're bored, then you can sit quietly and yawn and scratch your head or whatever you like. But if you are serious enough to find out a way of living differently, and that's part of education also, and as you listen to mathematics, please also listen to this. The person who teaches you mathematics, you listen fairly politely, not with all your attention. In the same way, perhaps, don't give all your attention, but just listen and see if you are actually applying this, testing it out for yourself, that you are emotionally involved with X, Y, Z, and so disregard others, and therefore insensitive to others, and if you are insensitive to others, your responsibility for awakening of this intelligence, which is together, implies that you are not concerned at all with being intelligent. Right? Is this too complicated? No, I don't think it is. Is it? No. All right. Are you doing it?
Are you saying that I can't awaken intelligence just for myself?
What's that?
Are you saying that I can't awaken intelligence just for myself?
Yes, you can't awaken intelligence just for yourself. Intelligence implies it is not personal. It's like sunlight. Blue sky, it's going to be a lovely day. Like sunlight is for all of us. It's not for one or two. In the same way, intelligence is non-personal. It is completely outside the realm of our personal, emotional entanglements. I wonder if I can put it. You understand this? Need I labor this point? Need I elaborate this? That we cannot be intelligent in isolation. Because life is relationship. You cannot exist in this world without relationship of some kind or other. And intelligence implies that in life, that is, in our daily action, in our daily behavior, in our daily observation of the whole universe, as it were, in that, to observe, to have this quality of sensitivity is part of this intelligence. Right? Now, is this happening to you? Or are you just listening and just, like the wind that passes by? So, there's one of the qualities necessary, that intelligence is not personal, which implies the sensitivity for all of us together, living together. Right? And to awaken this intelligence, we must consider behavior. No? Now, is there, please listen to it, find out, I'm just asking, is there behavior which is conduct? Which is not my way of conduct and your way of conduct, my way of behaving and your way of behaving. Is there a common criteria of behavior? You understand my question? Huh? This is... Behavior means not only conduct. Behavior implies consideration for others. Which is part of sensitivity. So I'm asking myself, and so you're also asking this question for yourself. Is there a right behavior which is not dependent on a particular person? That is, I might say this is the right behavior, and you might say that your own right behavior, which might be contradicting each other. Do you understand? So I'm asking, is there a behavior in which there is no contradiction, in which we all cooperate, which is all not mine or yours, which is correct? You understood my question? That which is correct is not yours or mine. Correct means accurate. Right? Now, is there such behavior, such conduct? That when you behave and I behave, there is no contradiction in our behavior. Which doesn't mean that I imitate you and you imitate me. Which doesn't mean that I conform to your pattern of behavior or you to mine. So we must find out, if we are to be intelligently, if we are to act intelligently, is there a right action which is not my right action, your right action? Right? This is important for one to find this out. Isn't it? Right? Agree? What is the right action? What is right action? right behavior. Not the American, not the British, not the Indian, not the German, not the Russian. Not dependent on being a Catholic, Protestant, or denying both and some, but the right behavior at all times. You understood my question? Now, how do you find this out? How do you find out a conduct, a behavior, a way of looking, a way of acting, both in personal relationship, and so on, acting which is irrevocably right all the time? You've understood my question? Huh? Right. If you have understood it, how will you find out? If I tell you what is right behavior, will you accept it? Of course not. You say, oh, that's your conditioned that way. You are Victorian. We are modern generation. We are different. We are young. That you are just old-fashioned and buzz off. Then I say to you, what do you say, what is right behavior? You are young. If I am old and just gaga and just mid-Victorian or belong to the establishment and conditioned, then what do you say is right behavior? Not according to America, Russia, England, or Catholic, Protestant, particular family, or your own prejudice, but what is right behavior which will stand all through life? You understand what I'm saying? Not just for today, which will be correct, irrevocable. Right? Tell me.
Is there such a thing?
Huh?
Is there such a thing?
We're going to find out. Tunkia, the oldest student probably here, he's out, really. He asks, is that possible? Is there such action, behavior, conduct, a way of living that's absolutely correct, accurate, right action, which doesn't deviate under any circumstance, right action? You understand what I mean? Huh? Now, what's your answer? First of all, we must find out, mustn't we? You can't say, well, you're old-fashioned, buzz off. We must find out, talking over, listening to each other, investigating, examining how we behave now, as we are. Right? We must start with what is actually taking place in our behavior, right? You understand what I'm saying? I must start very near to go very far. Right? I can't imagine going very far when I don't know what is near. So I must start with what is actually happening. What is the nearest, what's the closest form of behavior? That is, how do I behave? Right? You following what I'm saying? If I understand that, from there I can move. Have you understood what I'm saying? If I don't understand how I am behaving, how can I understand what's right behavior? So first, I must find out what actually is my behavior in daily life. Here at Brockwood, day after day, how do I behave? What are the ingredients of my behavior? You understand my question? What is my behavior based on? From what source does it spring?
Well, the behavior is different according to the circumstances.
Are you? No, wait, no. Lady, don't go near. Come, I said, start near. That is, start with yourself. Because that's the nearest thing you have, yourself. So how do you, at Brockwood, in your daily life here, behave? When you say depends on circumstances, so circumstances dictate your behavior. Is that it? And is that correct behavior? If I am in India, I behave like an Indian, with all the prejudices, superstitions, and suppressed by this and that. Or when I'm in America and say, oh, this is, I can do what I like, the permissive society. Is that right behavior? When my action is dictated by circumstances. You understand? So am I here at Brockwood behaving according to the circumstances around me? And when I leave here, I behave something differently because I'm dependent on circumstances. Do you understand? Huh? And is that right action? So I've learned something. I hope you're learning too. Which is, any action under the pressure of circumstances is not right action. Right? You don't agree? She doesn't agree. Why?
I don't see that. It's not that I don't agree. I just don't see that.
Huh?
I just don't take this as a fact.
What you're saying, facts are that we behave according to circumstances. She says that's the fact. Do you? At Brockwood, I'm not selfish. I'm I like to be a little selfish, but not quite. But when I leave, the whole, my selfishness bursts. Because there, they accept selfishness. Right? Is that correct behavior?
Right action should fit with whatever circumstance you're in.
Pardon?
Right action should fit with whatever circumstance you're in.
That's it. That's the same thing, isn't it? What you're saying is, Torah is saying the same thing. That is, if we act according to circumstances, then we are really lost, aren't we? Huh? Aren't we?
Well, but in a way, we should take the circumstances into consideration.
Oh, Tunki, I can't hear.
In a way, we should take the circumstances into consideration in our action.
That's a different thing. Look, Tunki, you're saying something quite different. Torah is saying something else. We behave depending on circumstances. You are saying, aren't you, are you, that you adjust yourself to circumstances.
Well,
Wait, find out. Look, Tunki, you suggested that. Think it out. That is, I adjust myself when I go to London and I go to a restaurant, I eat meat there. Eat what? No, eat meat there. Sorry. Drink wine and all that. Here, I come back and say, no, sorry, I don't drink. I don't eat meat. There I am adjusting to environment, and also here I am adjusting myself to this. And I am asking, is that correct behavior? Doesn't that lead to hypocrisy?
That's not what I mean. What I mean is, circumstances has to be taken into consideration.
Huh? What?
Circumstances has to be taken into consideration, but it doesn't necessarily mean that
You adjust to...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I take circumstances into consideration. All right. What is that?
Well, a very simple example, sir. Like, if I walk around barefoot at Brockwood, it's not considered, we don't walk around barefoot in Europe, in the house. And at home, if I go home and walk in with the shoes on,
Then your mother will say, get out.
so, you adjust to that. And you take that into consideration, you respond to
That's
it.
right. Well, wait a minute. Here, you put on your shoes and walk in shoes. And in India, when you enter a house, you leave your shoes outside. Is that adjusting yourself to environment?
Yes.
Just wait. Don't be quick about it. Don't reply immediately. Find out.
Do you mean to say that we shouldn't adjust psychologically, but we adjust physically?
You think, oh boy, I didn't say that. I'm asking, here in Europe and America and the rest of it, one puts on shoes. And in India, you go there, when you enter a house, you leave your shoes outside. As in Japan and so on. Now, what's wrong with that? You're adjusting yourself to the environment, aren't you? Wait. You're very quick to say yes. Is that adjusting yourself to environment? Which means, what does this word adjust yourself to environment mean? Tell me. With which you all agreed so quickly. Tell me what adjusting yourself to something.
It's doing the right action.
Huh?
It's doing the right action. In India, if you take your shoes off when you go in the house, that's the right action. In Europe, it's
No,
the right action.
I'm asking, and you may be correct, perhaps I don't understood what you're saying, but I'm asking again, what do you mean by the word adjust yourself to circumstances? Conforming to a... conforming? Imitating? Wait, listen to it. Conforming, imitating, the pressure of circumstances, do that, don't do that. All that you call adjustment, is it that it?
It seems
Huh?
it seems talking about the shoes, taking the shoes off, it's much more listening and watching what's done in that place and then just partaking in that way. It doesn't seem to be a conforming or a pressure at all. It's much more listening and watching.
So, in adjustment, is there intelligence operating? Careful, don't think it out slowly, carefully. I may be wrong. I'm asking a question. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just asking. Is there intelligence operating? When I say I imitate, I conform. When I go to India, take my shoes off when I enter a house. Because they don't want to bring the dirt from the outside into the house. Right? See the reason. They don't want you to bring all the filth of the street into the house. That is intelligence, isn't it? But if you say, well, I just conform because it is circumstances demand it, it's lack of intelligence. No? My intelligence says it's rather silly to walk about London barefooted. It's cold, filthy, and perhaps I may get hurt and all kinds of things. My intelligence says, oh boy, adjust yourself to... But it's intelligence that says it, not circumstances that force me to adjust myself. Just listen to what I've said. I may be wrong, but have the goodness to listen first before you say...
Isn't it also sensitivity to the customs and point of view of the people with whom you are at that time?
Of course.
But that isn't unlimited.
No, but I'm pleased with the people I am with. I adjust either intelligently. You understand what my meaning of that word intelligently? Or I just adjust to conform to a pattern which they have established. If I'm in Russia, where, I don't know if you've read something about it the other day in the newspaper, which is very interesting. Would I adjust myself to all the appalling things that are happening? If I didn't, I would be sent to concentration camp. Wait. I would be sent to concentration camp or sent to a mental hospital, drugged and all the rest of it, so that I come out like a vegetable at the end of it. So what am I to do? What will you do?
You have to adjust.
Huh?
You have to adjust.
Why?
You don't have a choice.
So you adjust yourself through fear?
Yeah.
So circumstances have made you afraid, and therefore you adjust through fear to circumstances. Is that intelligence?
No, but it's a question of life and death.
I mean, there may be a different... You haven't asked, find out. How will you behave? That's an extreme form. Don't let's take the absurd extreme form. We are not in Russia, fortunately. You know, I was reading about Russia. They are trying to prevent dissident manuscripts. You understand? And so they're trying to control it by controlling typewriters. You understand? Every typewriter has like fingerprints, a different way of printing the word. Every typewriter. So they are trying to control the typewriters. So when you buy a typewriter, it is registered. Who is buying it? All the rest of it. I'm just telling you that as a side issue. It is appalling what they're doing to man. Like the Catholics did appalling things to man. Same pattern repeated in a different way with the name of state, and instead of Pope, they are the Politburo, that's all. Let's leave that. Now, let's come nearer home, which is, are you adjusting yourself to Brockwood? Where they don't eat meat, drink, etc., and they are, all that. Are you adjusting yourself to it? Which means circumstances are stronger than you, and so you say, oh, sorry, I'll adjust myself, and when I leave, I go back to my old way of life, which is drink, smoke, all the rest of that stuff. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just pointing out. Is that what you're doing? You come, perhaps most of you come from a non-vegetarian family. The non-vegetarian family is brought up along a certain tradition. Eat meat, otherwise you will be dead. It gives more protein, easier, and all the excuses. You come perhaps from that environment, and you say, by Jove, here there are a strange crowd. They don't eat meat. So I better adjust myself. But you are craving, you are longing, your taste. Say, for goodness sake, as soon as in my holidays, I'm going to stuff myself with meat.
What about if they don't give you anything else?
Wait, lady. I'm asking, is that an intelligent act? Please bear in mind what we are discussing. We are talking over together what is the action which doesn't depend on circumstances, on fear, or on personal prejudices, or my conditioning and your conditioning. You are brought up in America, England, I was brought up in some rotten little village in India, and therefore, etc., etc., etc. So, I'm asking, adjusting to circumstances through fear, through pressure, through reward and punishment, right? Does that indicate right action? It doesn't.
The way the world is set up now.
Yeah, it doesn't. Wait, it doesn't. If it doesn't, will you, when you get back, adjust yourself to that?
Well, this adjustment may mean your life, you know? This adjustment may mean saving your life.
No. Wait. We're not in Russia. We moved away from Russia. When you go home, Paris or Israel, wherever you're going home, will you adjust yourself or say, well, that's the way to live? Here I'm adjusting myself to some crazy ideas. And I'm asking, is that right behavior? If you are doing that, say, I'm waiting till I get home to have meat and so on, which is my way of life, And here I am come, willy-nilly. My parents have said to me, or I want to come, and so on and so on. I have to adjust myself here. And I'm saying, look what you're doing. You're adjusting only to this, not to that. There you have accepted it. There you are conforming. Your taste is dictating. The tradition is making you do that. And you say I'm not adjusting there at all. But here I'm adjusting. See what you have done. There you have adjusted to circumstance without knowing. It has, from childhood, have been fed meat. You never questioned it, right? You've accepted it. Here, you have questioned it, and you have merely adjusted to it. But if you question both, you understand? That as well as this, and said, what is the right thing to do? Right? But you don't. You don't question that. Right? Are you following what I'm saying? There you are a slave. Here you say, well, I'm free, I'll question this. It would be an intelligent act to question both. No?
Well, next year I'll be going right into university and there'll be a lot of competition. Now, is there time for me to question this? Because I'll be left behind.
Wait. Now, follow it carefully. Now, bear in mind what we're talking about all the time, which is right behavior, not dictated by circumstances, not acting under pressure. Family, husband, wife, circumstances, society, the priest, the jobs, all that is implied. By questioning, asking, exploring, investigating, not accepting this or that, then this awakening of intelligence is possible. But if you say, I'm going off next year to some country where they all eat meat, they all are competitive, and I must be competitive, otherwise I'll be destroyed, then you're part of that structure. But if you questioned it and say, look, is this the way of behaving rightly? Which means me, not society. I won't go into the question of what society is for the moment. So, am I acting when I go away from here, complying, imitating, conforming to that? Or am I going to question everything there? And how you question matter. The how you question is part of intelligence. Now, is that intelligence being awakened here? You following all this? Are you have been here for some time? Is this intelligence working with you? Or you say, well, there's competition, there is this, there is that, and the other things. If I go away into that, I must adjust myself into it. If not, I'll be destroyed, and therefore, bang into it. No, this applies to all of us. either one can adjust oneself intelligently or adjust oneself through fear and so on, or through pleasure. I conform to that society because it gives me pleasure. Therefore I say I accept it. But I never question it. I never inquire what is the right action wherever I am. So I said, one of the factors of right behavior is to have this sensitivity. Not only to myself, to my own friends, and to my own this person or that, but sensitivity to others. Because I cannot be intelligent by myself. I won't go into the whole problem of, it's a very complex problem, but not for the moment. The other is behavior, action, conduct. Is there such conduct which is right, correct, true all the time? And I say there is, if intelligence is operating. If it is not, then you know.
The ideal conduct?
Huh?
The ideal conduct? The ideal conduct.
Is there an ideal conduct? But look at the trick you're playing. There are your ideal conduct and my ideal conduct. Your ideal is projected by your desire, by your conditioning, and my ideal is projected by my desire, my conditioning. And I think ideals are rather stupid because they're projected by thought away from what is. So the understanding of what is intelligent, not understanding some stupid ideals. So I've learned something. Have you learned something this morning? Not as a sermon which you hear and say, oh, for God's sake, but as part of your existence, part of your life here. Have you learned what it is to be intelligent? Little bit of it even. Because we can go into it as we will. That to be intelligent implies a relationship in which I am not alone with my own sensitivities, but sensitive to everything around me, to people, to nature, to everything around me. And we said there is correct behavior when this quality of intelligence is in operation. Because that intelligence is not personal. It's not American or Indian or some stupid nationality.
It's possible to look that and Brockwood with that.
Is it possible
To look all the things out when I am in a behavior field. It's very difficult.
Speak in Spanish, please. Slowly.
Si yo veo el patrón afuera, veo el patrón aquí, veo que estoy afuera y estoy aquí, pero ajustándome. ¿No?
Yeah, a bit.
Puedo ver eso y romper con eso.
Yeah, that's it. Is there, is intelligence in operation when I follow the pattern outside or a pattern within? Obviously not. I can create a pattern and say this is the right behavior, right? And you will create a pattern for yourself and say, sorry, I disagree with you, this is right behavior. But if we have no patterns, right, and inquire into what is intelligence, which is not conditioned by our inquiry by my pattern or your pattern, then there is the possibility of awakening that intelligence. So from that implies any pattern, yours, mine, or God's, or the Pope, or your father, or my mother, or somebody, any pattern created by others or by myself is an indication, a pattern. And following those patterns is an indication of lack of intelligence. I think that's enough this morning, isn't it? Huh? It's okay. It's 1:15. I'm not trying to stop you, but shall we go on or stop? I don't know. Ask the people who are. Huh? Another 5 minutes? What do you say? I didn't hear.